The Browns beat the Packers. Field goals blocked, pick sixes across the board. A crazy week 3 in the NFL is in the books. This is Twin Football. Thank you very much for joining us. Jacob and I give you our picks and predictions for the NFL every Wednesday, so please come back and join us. Thank you for joining us today in week 4's NFL picks. Jacob, you ready?
Yeah, let's do it. We got a rebound.
Yes, we do all of our picks here on ESPN on Twin Football, so go ahead and pick along with us. We also have our own Twin Football group. That's a public group that you can go ahead and join if you are a ball knower. We have one of the top-ranked players in our group consistently outperforming 99% of America in that group. So come and join us, pick against him, pick against us every single week, and try and catch us because we are going 16-0 this week to bring up our record from 30-18 to a nice 46-18 in the last slate before the bye week start. So this is the last week of 16 games, and we kick things off, Jacob, with a NFC West matchup between the Seahawks and the Cardinals, both trying to keep pace with San Francisco. Who do you got in this one?
Yeah, this NFC West showdown. It's the most competitive division in football right now. 3 teams are 2-1, and the Niners top it at 3-0. I think the records flatter some of these teams, but right now all of them have over 500 records, and it's a really competitive division. The Seahawks are coming off a great win against the Saints. It was over after the first quarter, 21-0. Sam Darnold with a super efficient 14 for 18, 200 plus yards and 2 scores. After a slow opener against the 49ers, they've scored 75 points in the last 2 games. Sam Darnold getting comfortable with his new role. It was always going to take some time with his big money move over to Seattle from Minnesota. The Cardinals are coming off a super close loss to the Niners. It's a game they probably think that they let slip away. The offense was struggling all game. James Conner with a brutal injury didn't help anything. Marvin Harrison Jr. needs to wake the hell up. I'm not sure what's going on with him. That one drop in particular was one of the worst I've seen, and he's such a talented receiver. I don't expect that to continue, but he's really got to wake up. The defense played really well throughout the game. Probably thought they won the game for the team with that safety in the fourth quarter. Calais Campbell is still a beast and proved that he still has some left in the tank. It's a really important game for both these teams, especially the Cardinals at home. I think the Seahawks are just stronger, and I'm going Seattle.
Ooh, Seahawks going in and getting the win. The Vikings with Carson Wentz second game looking to do that, with Pittsburgh having their second home game looking to bounce back after losing to the Seahawks their first time over there in Pittsburgh. Carson Wentz last time out 14 for 20. Great completion percentage, proving once again in a rout of the Bengals that Kevin O'Connell can work with any quarterback as long as you can complete the football and know where to go with it. Don't hesitate and just push the ball to your explosive receivers and or to your great running backs. Obviously, Aaron Jones has been out. Jordan Mason over 115 yards on the ground, but that was against a Bengals defense, a much tougher task away from home and against the Pittsburgh Steelers here. And also, we know Brian Flores loves to blitz. He was able to force Jake Browning last week into multiple interceptions, but this is going to be a much tougher task going against Aaron Rodgers and that checkdown game that has evolved over the last couple of weeks to Jalen Warren. Jalen Warren also leads the league in yards over expected yards after catch. So that is a statistic that tells you how good they are at catching and breaking tackles or making things happen over what is expected. And no one does it better than Jalen Warren right now in the league. That's even better than Bijan Robinson. So if you are going to be facing the blitz and you can get these checkdowns, I think Jalen Warren is going to have a massive game this week. I think he is going to lead this team with chunk plays, 20, 30, 40 yards by getting these checkdowns, beating the blitz quickly, making 1 or 2 guys miss, and being able to get these chunk plays. Give me the Steelers. I think they're going to be looking for it here.
And how many different quarterbacks has Kevin O'Connell won with at this point in his
He just
short career as
proved
a head
that
coach?
he is that good offensively. And it's all quarterbacks that Carson Wentz, he's the first quarterback in history to start a game for 6 different franchises in 6 years, which means that a team had to start him and weren't sold on them, which means that they were forced to start him and didn't want to keep him. That's a crazy statistic for not having a belief in a guy who was in the MVP conversation in Philadelphia. And now look what he is doing there with him in Minnesota after 1 week and against the Bengals. But still, Kevin O'Connell is just a genius. I just think he comes up short this week.
Next up, we got the Commanders taking on the Falcons. The Commanders are coming off a great win against the Raiders. No Jaden Daniels, no problem. Marcus Mariota had a solid game apart from that fumble at the tail end of a 20-yard run. I think he got a little excited and forgot he's not at Oregon anymore. Surprisingly, Ja'Cory Krosky, aka Bill Merritt, did not have a big increase in workload with Eckler out and the backup quarterback in. It seems like Dan Quinn still doesn't know who his future RB1 is. Shared a lot of carries with Rodriguez and McNichols. The Falcons are coming off a devastating loss against a bad Panthers team. The defense was bad and the offense was worse. The Panthers hadn't shut out a team for 5 years. Penix got benched in the fourth quarter. Kirk Cousins came in and played better, but not nearly enough to earn his starting spot back. Bijan still doing Bijan things, but playing from behind for the whole game really limited his carries. Overall, the team was just really poor, and they're going to be anxious to forget about that game. I think they rebound at home here and beat a good Commanders team. Going Falcons.
Falcons getting the win at home. We know that the Buffalo Bills are going to get a win at home. 99% of all ESPN entries are picking the Bills. I'm surprised it's that low, to be honest with you. Bills team that has scored over 30 points every single game this week. Josh Allen playing the best football of his career. James Cook doing James Cook things, multiple touchdowns. It seems like every single week. Probably will get it again this week at home against the Saints. Give me the Bills comfortably in this one.
Yeah, finally a couple easy picks here. Yeah. Next up, we got the Browns taking on the Lions. The Browns are coming off an insane win against the Packers. Packers winning the whole game. Felt like they're in complete control and everything just turned. Myles Garrett proving he is the best defensive player in the world right now. As much as I hate to say it, because I love Joe Flacco, I think this is going to be his last start with the Browns and perhaps for his career. The offense has looked horrible this season. And if it wasn't for the defense bailing them out in this last game, he might have gotten benched this week. I think the win bought him a little bit of time. I think the Lions are going to end his time, and there will be a new quarterback playing in week 5. The Lions are coming off a dominating win against a great Ravens team, perhaps the most impressive performance of the season for me. The defense had 7 sacks. Aidan Hutchinson on the field just completely changes the game. It's good to see him back at full strength with a huge forced fumble and a sack. The Lions were 3 for 3 on 4th down. Ben Johnson is gone, but they still have that strong playbook. It took a little bit for them to get used to having a new offensive coordinator and a new defensive coordinator, but the Lions look just as strong as they looked last year, perhaps even stronger now that Aidan Hutchinson is back. I got nothing but Lions in this one.
Yeah, can we finally put to rest that the offensive defensive coordinator thing is why the Lions aren't going to play well this year? Can we finally put that?
Yeah, it just took some growing pains because they got new ones. Game 1 of the season, everyone goes crazy that they got smacked by the Packers team that's been playing together for years.
Yeah, and how about these last 2 weeks now for Myles Garrett going against Micah Parsons, one of the up-and-coming rushers that everyone is comparing to Myles Garrett, completely dominates that game against Green Bay. Now gets to go against Aidan Hutchinson, probably will completely dominate this game as well, and just prove that he is the main man here on the defensive side of the football. There you go. Detroit to get a win. Carolina traveling to New England after beating the Atlanta Falcons, like you mentioned. This is the first time Carolina has had a 30-point victory since 2014 against the Atlanta Falcons. So it's just something about them against the Atlanta Falcons. Every 10 or so years, they put up a 30-point win. I don't think that's going to happen this week. Carolina's average field position last week against Atlanta was the 45-yard line. Thanks to special team issues, the Falcons' inability to move the football. I don't think that's going to be what's going to happen here against the Patriots team that you know is going to be well structured. They might not be able to move the ball as, that effectively, but they're not going to kill themselves. Drake May led the team in carries last week. We'll see finally if Travion Henderson can finally get more carries for some reason. You know, he was the big hype after preseason, after running that kickback. There has been some behind the scenes issues, no belief in the coaching staff to get him the football more. We'll see if he and Drake May can start a rushing attack and lead the Patriots here this week. But I got the Patriots at home to get the victory.
I like that. I don't see back-to-back games where Bryce Young has a win ever in his career, so I like that pick. Next up, we got the Chargers taking on the Giants. Not anymore. The Chargers taking on the Giants. The Chargers are coming off a win against the Broncos to stay undefeated. They're still super comfortable to lean on Justin Herbert as the focal point of that offense. It's so refreshing to see a head coach in Jim Harbaugh change his ways and realize Justin Herbert's the best player in his offense, and he should cater his offense around him instead of sticking to the run game, which he traditionally and historically has done in his career. Justin Herbert threw the ball 47 times, and they scored 10 points in the last 3 minutes to win the game. Absolutely amazing performance. Keenan Allen has been perhaps the best pickup of the offseason. Who would have guessed that? He's still got it in him. He looks so good with Justin Herbert throwing to him. Amarian Hampton with his best game in the NFL and his first rushing score. It's a really good sign. He was able to handle the load after Najee Harris went down. The ex-Steeler tore his Achilles, so Hampton will have a huge workload going forward, and I think he's up for it. The Giants are coming off a tough loss against the Chiefs. Russell Wilson with 2 interceptions and only a 56% completion percentage was enough to see him benched this week. The team announced they've seen enough of the ex-Super Bowl champion, and they will start rookie Jackson Dart against a tough Chargers defense. I am not sure about this timing. I really don't understand it from a coaching perspective to just throw your rookie quarterback into the lion's den of the Chargers defense.
I think it has to be because the players are demanding it. I think it's an internal issue because you even saw Cam Scadaboo come out of practice wearing Jackson Dart's jersey. You could tell that the players might be hyped here to get Jackson Dart going, and maybe they've pushed it internally. That's the only way I can see this, because I agree with you.
Yeah, just looking inside, it doesn't make much sense. Yeah. It's got to be a locker room thing. Speaking of Scadaboo, he looked really solid and looks like he will fit in nicely for the injured Tyrone Tracy. He was amazing to watch in college, and it looks like he can still prove himself in the NFL. I can't pick the Giants team starting a rookie quarterback, and the Chargers are flying. I'm going Chargers away.
Especially with that secondary that the Chargers got. Battle of the secondaries, I think, is going to be a deciding factor in the Philadelphia Eagles traveling to Tampa Bay. 2 undefeated teams go head-to-head this week in one of the best matchups of Week 4. The Eagles, since they've drafted Jalen Hurts, have only won 1 time away to Tampa and have only once scored over 20 points. A big reason why Philadelphia's identity since they drafted Jalen Hurts has to be on the ground, and it is a tough task to run against that line of the Tampa Bay Bucks with Vita Vea, the stalwart in the middle. But last year they played each other. Tampa Bay won 16-33. Saquon Barkley averaged 8.4 yards per carry against Tampa Bay. It was early on in the season. He only got 10 carries. Obviously, he was new to the team, new to the system. Lane Johnson is battling a little bit of a neck issue. He was pulled in the first quarter of last week's game. You saw the Eagles struggle until they figured it out and rebounded, leaning on Jalen Hurts' arm to push the ball down the field to A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and they were able to come all the way back against the Rams and get the victory. So he proved in that game he can throw it when he needs to. He might need to do that here in this one. But the main reason why I'm going with the Eagles to finally get a win here in Tampa Bay is because, did you see that blocked field goal? Not only did you see it, did you see Jordan Davis, 330 pounds, get up and get moving?
He was
18.59 miles per hour. That guy moved. You want to know the fastest Baker Mayfield has ever moved in a NFL uniform? 18.9 miles per hour. Jordan Davis is coming for him. Jordan Davis is going to get him. And not only is he going to get him, he's going to force him into the first turnover of the season. I think that's going to go a long way for these Eagles to get a win. Baker Mayfield and this Tampa Bay defense, one of 3 teams to not turn the ball over at all in 3 games so far this season. They had 23 turnovers last year, so way ahead of their pace from last year, despite some of the injuries to their skill positions. And they have won their first 3 games by a combined 4 or 5 points, I think it is. Last minute touchdowns, last minute field goals to win these football games. You do not want to be in a 1 possession game against Jordan Davis late in the fourth quarter. We saw what he did. Special teams player of the week, by the way. We saw what he did last week. We know the Eagles, they find ways to win. They're going to lean on Jalen Hurts' arm. I like the Eagles to get a victory in Tampa Bay.
Man, how many times have we picked the Eagles over the Buccaneers in the last few years?
And the Bucs won.
It's the playoffs, the regular season, we pick Eagles over Bucs. We keep disrespecting the Buccaneers and they keep winning. I still like the Eagles here, though. I don't know.
Yeah.
They're better
Baker over 300 yards passing last
time
out against
for
the
sure.
Eagles. Yeah, he does. I just think he can't keep getting away with these 1 possession games. We talk a lot about Liverpool on our EPL picks. We do EPL picks and predictions every Thursday, so please come back and join us for those as well. But we talk about Liverpool and their late comebacks. They can't keep getting away with it. I think this is the week Tampa Bay doesn't get away with those late comebacks here to get the victories. I think they fall to 3-1. A team looking to go 1-3 this week between Tennessee traveling to Houston. Who is going to be that team that gets their first win and gives them some sliver of hope for the playoffs?
Yeah, it's the battle of winless Southern teams, and one of them will, in fact, have a W at the end. Titans are coming off a bad loss against the Colts. The offense could get nothing going until the second half. Titan fans will be a little concerned that their first overall quarterback is still getting comfortable in the league, but you got to just give him time. There's nothing else to say about that. The Texans are coming off a loss against a bad Jaguars team. They're competing with the Browns for the worst offense in the league. It's crazy to think after his rookie year, we might be talking about CJ Stroud losing his starting position in his 3rd year. He's been so bad, but it's hard to only blame him when you look at that offensive line. It's probably the worst in the league. I'm giving the Texans the win at home in a much needed game for them.
Ooh, the Raiders might come for that worst offensive line title, but I agree with you. You cannot get anything going here as a Texans offense, but luckily Tennessee coming to town as a playoff team, you have to be able to beat the Tennessee Titans. So I like them to win. Next up, we have Indiana Jones and the Indianapolis Colts traveling to LA to take the Rams after their heartbreaking loss to Jordan Davis and that blocked field goal against Philadelphia. Indianapolis, also one of the 3 teams like Tampa Bay to not turn the ball over this year, except last year, Indianapolis turned the ball over 29 times. But Indiana Jones is now the quarterback for the Colts, and he has been doing it all. Passer rating above 110 every single week so far. Yes, it wasn't against great competition, but he does it with his legs. He does it with his arm. He doesn't turn the ball over. What more can you ask from your quarterback to run an offense, especially one that has Jonathan Taylor, who has had a rebirth this year, staying healthy through all 3 games and putting up numbers. They're going to want to lean on him and Daniel Jones to get a win away from home at the Rams. We saw last time out away from home, Indianapolis needed a offsides flag and a 50-plus yard field goal to beat the Denver Broncos. I don't think it'll be enough here to get the Rams. That offense is able to move the football. Kyron Williams has been playing well. Puka Nacua, banged up, not banged up. He is everywhere. Devontae Adams fit in nicely with Matthew Stafford, who did have his poorest game against Philadelphia last week, but he was going against Jordan Davis, and that's just going to happen. He's going to get you. So give me the Rams. Give me a upset almost, 3-1 Rams
Not
and
quite.
3-1 Colts.
Yeah, this is by far the biggest test for Daniel Jones as a Colt, and the Rams almost beat Super Bowl champions Eagles last week. I think you have to go Rams in this one. Next up, we got the Jaguars taking on the 49ers. The Jaguars are coming off an important win against a struggling Texans team. Trevor Lawrence needs to get his turnovers under control, though. He's had interceptions in every game this season. I'm really not convinced with the Jaguars still, even after that good win. The 49ers are coming off an important win themselves against the Cardinals. One of the weirdest games of football I've ever watched. There was no touchdowns until the 4th quarter. Ricky Pearsall stepped up in a big way and was clearly Mac Jones' favorite target. Mac Jones had a decent game, but he had a really bad interception that almost cost them in the 4th quarter. I don't think Brock Purdy is worried at all for his starting position and I hope he plays this weekend. Fred Warner is the 49ers best player right now, and he stepped up huge after Bosa went off injured. 49ers injuries getting worse each week. Bosa is done for the season with a torn ACL. I think it'll be enough, though, to beat the Jaguars. I'm going 49ers in this one.
Yeah, I mean, Jacksonville couldn't even get a win against backup Jake Browning coming mid-game for the Bengals and turning the ball over 3 times. So as long as San Francisco doesn't do that, I think they will be fine. A surprising matchup here, and in the 4 o'clock window Eastern time, is the Ravens traveling to Kansas City, both at 1-2 on the season. The fact that one of these teams can fall to 1-3 to start the season, I think, is unfathomable if we went back to before the season started, but that is going to be the case come Sunday evening. Lamar Jackson looking to turn around the tides, 0-3 away at Arrowhead, including last time out the toenail game where Likely was just out of bounds, catching it at the back of the end zone to give the Baltimore a chance to win that football game. They were unable to do so. Lamar Jackson, though, has been playing pretty much lights out. He's getting a lot of criticism for his 7 sacks, like you mentioned, against Detroit last week, but that's part of his game. He likes to scramble. I think he can be a little bit more decisive in terms of when to go and when to try and sit back in the pass game. I think there is a little bit of an adjustment because he hasn't had this many weapons in a long while there in Baltimore. When you think of the success that him and DeAndre Hopkins have had down the field, especially, you want to give him a little bit more time to get open and get the ball to him. Zay Flowers, obviously, and Bateman has been coming in his own over the last couple of years, and I would like to see him not hold on to the ball or just be more decisive in terms of running or not running. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs bounced back a little bit in that second half against the Giants, but that is the New York Giants. The Baltimore Ravens secondary has been pretty poor, but that front is no joke. That linebacker core is no joke, and they're going to be coming for Patrick Mahomes, who has been unable to get past the 23-point mark so far this season. Xavier Worthy might be coming back here this week, hopefully for them. They need that boost. They've been trying to fill in. Patrick Mahomes hasn't had the greatest completion percentage either, so hopefully short little dunks to Xavier Worthy to get him out in space will build Patrick Mahomes' confidence in pushing the ball down the field, as well as getting this offense going and getting past that 23-point mark. Derrick Henry, 3 fumbles in 3 games. You can see how distraught he was in his press conference after the game against Detroit, feeling like he let the team down. And I think you want that from your star player, even though I don't think that was the reason they ended up losing that football game. I think he bounces back. He is going to love this matchup to get out on the edge against the Kansas City Chiefs. He has had success against them. I think he starts off strong. I think Lamar Jackson continues his fine form. And I just think they're going to be a little bit more settled. Being the underdog, I think, suits the Ravens. Being 1-2, I think they might get that mentality. Give me the Ravens over the Chiefs. But Jacob, I must ask you, which team needs this one more?
Great question. It's the Ravens. They've lost to the Bills and the Lions. If they lose to the Chiefs, like, what are they going to think going into the playoffs? They've lost to 3 of the 4 favorites, along with the Eagles. They've lost to all 3 of them. So they need to win this game. Chiefs have proven themselves. They'll be okay. They'll sneak into the playoffs regardless. And once Patrick Mahomes is in the playoffs, I'm not worried about them. Ravens need to win this game.
Yeah. Need and will get the victory there at Arrowhead. But will Caleb Williams get 2 wins in a row traveling to Las Vegas this week?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. The Bears taking on the Raiders. The Bears are coming off a massive win against the Cowboys and the first win of the Ben Johnson era. Caleb Williams with easily the best game in his young career. Cowboys secondary and pass rush made him look like John Elway. It's the first game of his career that he was not sacked in his entire career. Max Crosby will look to reestablish the norm for him this weekend. The Raiders are coming off a tough loss against the Commanders. Geno Smith had a decent game, but their defense could not stop Marcus Mariota and the Commanders. Ashton Genty had his best game of his young career in terms of yards per carry, but he's still hugely underperforming his expectations going into this season. I'm not too worried about him, but they need to be worried about that offensive line. That's the biggest issue for this team. They're averaging 4 sacks allowed per game. They really got to do better there. I don't think the Bears are going to have as easy a time with the Raiders defense and Max Crosby playing away. I'm going Raiders here.
Ooh, yeah. Max Crosby, a game wrecker. Fun fact I saw today, Ashton Genty has more yards after contact than total yards. And that is because that offensive line gets people in the backfield and he has to break a tackle just to get to the line
Right.
of scrimmage. Yeah, with you and the 36% here on ESPN that would pick the Raiders at home to get the win. Dallas going to look to get a win against Micah Parsons. The game that everyone circled on their calendar as soon as that trade went down was this one. The Cowboys obviously coming off of that defeat against the Chicago Bears, where that defense was an absolute sieve. Jordan Love and the Packers, after losing to the Browns in that fashion, unable to move the ball. They had 14 offensive penalties against Cleveland. They had 5 sacks. They threw a pick. 14 total penalties, 7 offensive penalties, 5 holdings, 2 false starts. All of those are because of that pass rush. They're not going to have that same pass rush coming against them from the Cowboys. You know why? You want to know why? Because Micah
Why is
Parsons
that?
plays on the Packers. And
Oh,
Packers are going to dominate this football game for Micah. And as a bounce back against the Cleveland Browns, Dallas most likely going to miss CD Lamb. I don't know how his ankle is still attached to his leg after that high ankle sprain. So I think he's going to be out at least 3 to 4 weeks. And after that, if your defense can't stop anybody and you're going against Micah Parsons in his homecoming, I just see a blowout by the Packers. 0-3 Jets versus the 0-3 Dolphins, maybe the 2 most underperforming teams so far to start the season. Jacob, who is going to pick up their first win almost by default?
another battle of winless teams here. The Jets are coming off a close loss against the Buccaneers, another team that fell victim to Baker's 2-minute drill perfection. Tyrod Taylor did not look so bad and made a lot of plays with his feet. Breece Hall had a tough day against Vita Vea and that tough Buccaneers rush defense. Dolphins are coming off a loss against the Buffalo Bills. The first 3 quarters, though, they look like they might be back. They were doing some good things on offense. Defense, maybe not so much. But then Tua threw that interception, and the entire team just deflated and realized that they haven't won a game this year, and the whole game changed, and the Bills dominated. No defense has let up more points than the Miami Dolphins this year. Mike McDaniel's seat has never been hotter. It seems like it's only a matter of time until Tyreek Hill gets traded, and I think it will be a good thing for both parties to get him out of Miami, possibly back to the Chiefs. We'll have to see. I do think at home, Tua plays much better. They're playing against a bad Jets team. We'll see how Justin Fields comes back, if he comes back from that concussion this week. I'm going Dolphins at home to get their first win of the season.
Dolphins at home. Yeah. Breece Hall also in trade rumors so far this week, especially maybe possibly to the Arizona Cardinals. I think he needs Justin Fields to come back to get anything going, but give me the Dolphins as well. I like them to win there on one of 2 Monday night games. The other Monday night game sees the Bengals travel to Mile High to take on a Broncos team and a Broncos defense who we definitely expected more from them to start the season. Some tough games and some very tough losses, especially to the Indianapolis Colts a couple weeks ago. Very close games in the last 2 weeks, but give me Denver. Cincinnati leads the league in turnovers, and you do not want to be traveling to Mile High and that Broncos defense on rest when you lead the league in turnovers. Denver's going to pick them up, going to turn the Bengals over, going to turn that into points, and it's going to be a uphill, mile-high uphill battle for the Bengals. Give me the Broncos at home, and there you have it. All 16 correct picks. Don't even watch the games because we gave you all of the winners here on Twin Football. Thank you very much for joining us. Again, we do all of our NFL picks on ESPN. Make your account, pick along with us, and please join us every Wednesday to see Jacob and I's picks and predictions. But remember, most importantly, enjoy the football.